Hey guys, welcome to Fancy Footy Floodbath. I'm Nathan.
I'm Emily.
Emily's doing her best Grinch face.
Yeah.
And today we're
I'm
talking.
Emily, and this is my cheese stick that I'm about to eat.
Okay. And today we're doing North Melbourne. We did the premiers the other day in Melbourne, and now we're doing the Wooden Spooners, North. So, as usual, we always start from the highest price player and work down to the cheapest. And just a reminder too that we've done everyone from A to M. So we're doing them in alphabetical order, and all those videos are available on my channel. So go to Fancy Footy Floodbath, check down, there's a playlist there for fantasy as well if you can't find them. And Fancy Footy Fantasy is the name of the playlist, and all of the team reviews are in there from A to M, as I said, in alphabetical order. And also there's a special one there from the first day that AFL Fantasy was released, and also the special COVID one that Emily just mentioned, which is must watch TV, if I do say so myself, especially if you're a fantasy addict, AFL fantasy addict like me. Then you need to know, and you need to know what is coming up and how to prepare best for it. But today it's all about North Melbourne, and we start with the highest price player, which of course was Aaron Hall. Aaron Hall was an absolute gun last year. Cannot say enough superlatives about how he performed, and one of the few guys that performed great from about round 4 or round 5 onwards, and then backed it up in the last 4 weeks and did really well as well, and was a great pick. So many guys do so well all year, and then in the last 4 weeks they tend to dive in their scoring. But Aaron Hall continued on, was a great pick and a terrific filler for our fantasy teams. Now, what about 2022? Lots and lots of things to consider with Aaron Hall. Okay, now Aaron Hall is 30, I think, or 31 this season. So he's just getting on a little bit in age. Now, he has had body issues in the past in terms of hamstrings, all those sorts of things. Now, what I would like to believe is that he's gone to North, they've discovered what his body issues are, and they've found out ways to deal with it, to stop it and to fix it. And whatever the medicos do there seems to be working for him. But remember, at the start of last year, he had still little issues and got through the rest of the season fine. But let's hope they've figured all of that stuff out. He's figured out what he needs to do to stay healthy and fit, but I'm still a little bit wary about his body. 9.14 is the most expensive defender there is to pick, and you know, you run the gauntlet if you don't have him, because most people are going to have him in their team, and you're going to be playing the matchup each week against those teams that have him. So if you don't have him, well, you run the risk of having 140 or 150 against you. Did you want to say something?
I have him.
You have him in your team? Yeah. I don't have him in my team. I'm starting with some cheaper defenders at the moment. I might change my mind when round one comes around, but at this time, I'm staying away from him. Now, the next guy is Jack Zebel, 839. Started like a house on fire last year, and then when Hall hit his straps, Zebel dropped off a little bit. Now, his scores were still serviceable. They were still 80s and 90s and the odd low 100 here and there. But what I noticed was that Aaron Hall was the main guy back there, and in terms of getting the ball and who they're giving the ball to. So here's what you need to be aware of. If Hall goes down with an injury, jump on Zebel as quickly as you possibly can, because if Hall goes down, Zebel's going to be that running back, I believe, to distribute the ball. If Zebel goes down and you don't already have Hall, you need to get Hall very quickly, because he's going to be the one probably that will be the one that will be given the ball. Now, what I've noticed with Noble as the coach is he likes running backs. So don't be surprised if he throws another running back into the mix this year, someone we haven't expected, someone from the midfield, maybe a Simpkin, maybe even Greenwood might go down back and do a lot more running out of the back. Maybe they want him inside. Maybe they want a Jed Anderson down the back doing all of that. Maybe they'll throw Anderson forward more. But I wouldn't be surprised if you kind of go, all right, well, Hall and Zebel were the two guys there last year. Maybe they might leave it at that, but maybe they might adjust it again. Zebel might his role might change. Hall's role might change. And one thing I know about wooden spoon teams is that season to season, players' roles can change pretty dramatically. And especially with a new coach, he's only been there the 1 or 2 years. And so he could change it all around again in this pre-season so they can be more successful, so they can take the competition by surprise, so that people don't know what they're doing. And it just throws a little bit of a curveball at the other team's coach's box. So just be aware of that. Hall and Zebel, while on the surface look like good picks and look like one or the other or both are going to do well defensively, you could get to round one and find that the way they're doing things there is different. So just be aware of that. Next one is Cunnington. Obviously, we wish him all the best with that negative diagnosis he's had with his body. 832 was a really good pickup last year as a mid-price player. Made a lot of money and scored pretty well for a lot of people, but definitely at 832, I'd say no this year. Simpkins, an interesting one, was just such a good scorer for most of last year. And 801, gee, I'm really tempted to pick him. That is a very, very tempting price. He's one of these guys who tends to be an outlet player. He can also get his own ball. So at 801, I'm very tempted to pick him up. I watched so many games last year where the team I was playing had Jai Simpkin, and I just watched him score and score and score and score. And it made me think so many times, wow, I've got to get this guy in my team next year. Not so much last year, I couldn't find a way, but this year, definitely. Anderson, well, there was an article in afl.com.au last week about Jed Anderson saying that he hadn't made it back for preseason training yet. We need to remember that Anderson's in his late 20s now. Still a very, very good player. He's got that forward status, which helps. But 794, I just don't trust his body as well. There's issues there with his body in the past in terms of injuries. Terrific player. And it's a shame that his body lets him down so often. But in terms of fantasy, I'm going to say no. Greenwood's an interesting one. Come from Gold Coast. 735 will probably be the inside ball getter mostly, which means some weeks great scores, other weeks not so much. So no. Goldie, what a great pick. He's been for so many people in draft at 720 for so many years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I had him in my draft team, and I think he was like okay. Maybe like a rookie.
Well, he's really solid in the ruck with his scoring in terms of consistency. So he's perfect for draft and helped Emily win the premiership. Emily won the premiership in draft last year.
I got a trophy.
Very, very well done. Next one is Luke Davies-Uniacke. Obviously going to continue to get more of the ball, being a midfielder, and he's growing every year, 684. But I just don't think yet with him. I think he'll develop further. His numbers will probably improve, but not just yet. Taryn Thomas. Taryn Thomas is in my team. 681 as a forward status. Just watched him evolve last year into a really big ball getter. So I've got him ready to go in my side, 681. And at this stage, I don't see him coming out. Pollock seems to be irrelevant now, 640. Don't know what's going on there. Signed a big contract a few years ago. Hasn't really lived up to it. Let's hope he can get back in the mix for them and become a real impact player. Tom Powell looked terrific as a cash cow last year, 574 mid forward. Wow, he could end up being a really terrific pick as a forward with that dual position status. So keep him in mind, in the back of your mind. We just need to see further development of his game. Luke Mcdonald is a pure midfielder, which surprises me because he plays down back so much. 571, I'll say no. Zerha doesn't get enough of it, 519. Curtis Taylor, mid forward, 501, no. Callum Coleman-Jones from Richmond, 456, ruck forward. Depends how much time he gets in the ruck. Depends how. You'd always think that Goldie's going to get the majority of the time. So I'll say no there. Larky, 456 key forward. You know what I think about key forwards. Bailey Scott is one that I'm thinking about. 454. I know he plays midfield and played a lot of midfield last year. Got some good scores on occasions. If he develops further, then he could be a real smoky in terms of scoring well. Josh Walker, defender, 445, no. Jack Marnie is a forward, 439, no. Lockie Young from the Bulldogs, defender mid. We heard that he's going to play a bit of ruck. So 437 is that really awkward price, which makes him hard to pick. Kane Turner, 418, no. Aiden Cora, defender, bit of a lockdown defender, so 411, no is too much. Boston Avalagi, 369 as a defender. I'll say no. Bonner, no. 367. Will Phillips is one who got a lot of ball as a junior. There's a big ball getter, mid-forward, 366. If he starts to develop some of those traits as a big ball getter, then he could be a really good pick. Charlie Lazaro, had him for a little while as a cash cow, 358 last year, but no. Eddie Ford, forward, 346, no. Ben Mackay, 340, key defender, no. Kyron Hayden, 302, no. Flynn Perez, 291. Saw a little bit, or heard a little bit about him. I'll say no for him. Horn Francis, gee, if you don't have Horn Francis in your team at the moment, you probably don't know what you're doing.
Do I do?
Of course you do, yes. You know exactly what you're doing. I think most people have got him locked into their team. And if he's right to go round one, then he's a certainty. Tristan Cherry as a forward, 281. He's another one of those guys competing in the ruck. Just doesn't get enough of it. Joshua Gautier is, I think, picking the 20s for them as a midfielder. So keep an eye on him. It could be a good cash cow. Curtis is a forward, 222, no. And then some of these other guys, Bergman, Archer, haven't heard much about them. Jacob Edwards was that mid-season pick last year. If he gets more game time and games, then 190 could be good as a cash cow. Charlie Comben, a bit the same. Heard a bit about him that he's got some ability. Phoenix Spice at 190. I heard he's got some ability too, but may not get enough of the ball. Patrick Walker, Matt McGuinness. Don't know anything about those guys. Who have you drawn today, Emily?
I have Aaron Hall and
Goldie.
Yes, Todd Goldstein.
Let's have a look at those.
I don't know why I just drew the bottom one. I just did.
Todd Goldstein down the bottom,
Yeah.
Aaron Hall up the top.
Yes.
Awesome. Good drawing. Well done.
Thank you.
And who's your value pick for North Melbourne, Emily?
Aaron Hall.
Aaron Hall, yeah. According to Emily, Aaron Hall is still underpriced. 9.14, and she might be
Yeah.
absolutely right. There's
She. You said she.
Yeah, you're a she.
Oh.
She might be right.
Oh, okay.
And she might be right because if Aaron Hall scores 140s in the first 3 or 4 weeks, he is going to plunge over $1 million K. Or $1 million K, yeah, $1 million in fantasy. So
Yeah.
9.14 is a bargain if that happens. So you might be looking at it and going, well, I'm getting him underpriced at 9.14. Me personally, I want to see something. I want to see
your team.
I want to see him a bit the same as what he did last year first, because that performance last year was the most consistent he's ever had. It was the breakout that he's never had before. And while he's shown glimpses in fantasy before, that was the most consistent.
My dad has got, instead of Aaron Hall, he's got Tom Stewart. So I want you to tell in the comments who do you think is better, Tom Stewart or Aaron Hall?
Well, I can tell you right now, Aaron Hall is probably better.
Yeah.
But Stewart's probably more consistent, I think. So, yeah, let's see how Aaron Hall goes. As I said, I might change my mind before the season starts. Thanks for watching today on Fancy Footy Floodbath. The next team we're going to do is Port Adelaide. So check out our channel for all of the different teams up to now that we've done. And thanks for joining us, and we'll see you again soon. Bye.
Bye.